if you've been in the car truck world for the last 3 to 5 years, the chances are pretty high you've seen an old patina vehicle, mainly a truck. And what I mean by patina is it's got all these little marks, blemishes, you know, a little dent and ding here and there. Somebody hadn't spent a ton of money on it, making it look shiny. You know, looks like at some point in its life, nobody cared about it, which oftentimes is probably true. But
it was just an old truck.
It's just
no farm truck or something.
Farm truck, which it could have been Grandpappy's, you know, old 73 Buick or something. I don't really know. But either way, like right here, it got a little surface rust. You know how many show cars you see with surface rust these days? More than a lot of people would realize, I can tell you that.
Hey, a lot of shows now, I'd say mainly truck shows are probably, there's more patinaed trucks there than there is shiny ones.
Especially truck shows, which these trucks just have great patina. But that's besides the point. In today's video, we're going to show you 3 different ways that we have personally used to preserve, enhance, protect patina on mainly these trucks. But this could go for anything. An old hot rod, 60 model, whatever, you know, Impala, Cadillac, it don't matter. Anything.
Anything with rust on it, basically.
Rust, or in this case,
faded paint, same way. I mean, this truck being original paint.
We're going to cover a few different scenarios here in this video and show you what we have done to get them to look like this right here.
The upkeep of them.
And the upkeep. And pros and cons of each method. So, we're just going to get right into it. Alright, so this is the tailgate we're going to be using to demonstrate this stuff on. So, as you can see here, it's, I'd say this tailgate's kind of had a rough life. Definitely been used during its time. And abused. Yeah, also abused. This thing came off a, I think 71 or 2. But anyway, it's a 67 to 72 tailgate. Yeah, we'll go ahead and show you the truck right now. Yeah, we'll jump to a clip that we got of the truck itself just to show a better view of this color on here and everything. And the whole truck actually has really good patina on it. Kind of gives you a little bit better look at what it actually looks like. Truck's got perfect patina on it, I'd say. I mean, sadly it was wrecked right there. It's in the front. Door's got a big dent right there. And the whole truck, the floor and the cab corners, rockers are pretty rusty on this thing. It's also missing a door and a hood. But yeah, this bedside, just perfect patina on it. And obviously we robbed the tailgate, so. You can see something's climbed over there. Yeah, and I really wish, I mean, I would like to pull the bedside off, and I would have done the whole bedside, what we're doing to the tailgate here, but that'd been a little more difficult to do. So this is, as you can see, is real chalky. I mean, you can just wipe your finger over it, which your finger has oil on it, so it'll shine it up like that a little bit. So, like he said, today we're going to be showing 3 different ways to bring this out, kind of make it look better and presentable, and also upkeep it. And so as you can see, I got it in 3 sections here. First one here is cleared, which we'll get into it in here in just a second. This one here in the center, we're going to be putting like a, I guess you call it enhancer on it, which you just put it on a rag and wipe it over it. Yeah, it comes in a quart bottle. Yeah, and then this last end section here, I'm going to be buffing it. So 3 different ways here to preserve a patinaed truck, car, whatever it may be. I mean, you can really do this with anything that's got rust on it or a little bit of paint, or, you know, just whatever. Yeah. So getting into the first section here, which we did clear this a couple days ago, because I mean, this is an overnight process, so I didn't want to. Actually, probably if you're doing a complete vehicle, it'll be it'll be several week process. Well, more than likely. I don't know about that. It'll be at least a 2, 3, 4 day, a good week to take your time and do it right. Anyway. So we cleared this a couple days ago. As you can tell, it's a very drastic difference from what's the rest of the tailgate looks like. really brought the blue out in it, made the rust pop in it there. So with this process, this, like I said, it's just cleared. It's just straight clear. It's not toned down or nothing with a flattener. It's just mix it up in the cup, spray it. So what you do for the prep on this is pretty much you just take a scuff pad, wipe over the painted area, and then you can either put soap on it or do it
just wet, or you can do it wet or dry. I mean, there's really no rule book for this.
Not really. I mean, you could put soap in it and do it wet, and it kind of cleans it with, like, as you do it.
That's typically the method we use.
Yeah. And so go over the painted area. You don't want to scuff too much of it off because you want to leave the paint on there as much as you want. You can kind of decide how much paint you want to leave on it or not. And then as far as the actual rust spots itself here, it's got a different process that we use for that. You take a metal conditioner, and it comes in a spray bottle usually. PPG makes it. What we used on this, I think DuPont either still makes some or did. We've used some of that.
Yeah, and there's a few other brands out there that make it.
Yeah, you can look it up and do that. But spray it on here, just the actual rust spots itself.
Yeah, you want to try to keep as much of it off the actual paint itself because it will streak it up.
Yeah, it'll leave a white streak in it from it washing down it. So spray it on here, keep it wet with a scuff pad. And what we mean by that is don't let it dry on there, and keep all these rust areas wet for about 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah, and really work it in with a scuff pad. You can work it in on this heavy rust, but if it's just like barely surface rust,
if you do too much, it'll actually take the rust off of it. So if it's like a light surface rust, I wouldn't do it too hard, or it will take it off.
Yeah,
take it back to bare metal.
Yeah, don't scuff it too hard, but still put the metal conditioner on there.
Yeah. So after you do that, spray it off with a water hose, and then you can just go back over the whole thing and re-scuff it with just a scuff pad with nothing on it. And then let it dry, tape it off, clear it. And so that's what we done here. Done the back side too.
Yeah.
It's mostly just rust.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of rust. But yeah, you can see it on camera. Which, like, you see what this blue right here looks like, and then you scuff it and clear it, and it just brings so much color back to it, which,
And like which clear to use on here, this is just a cheap clear that I threw on there just to demonstrate this. I'd say it's very low level clears, and you can spend, pretty much as you want to on a setup of clear. So today's time, especially the way materials are priced, you can spend anything under $100 really is, I wouldn't even put that on there. A good, I'd say medium level clear is between $200 to $400, somewhere and through that range. You can do research, look up whatever clear you like to use or want to. I would just research it and look at some stuff on it, because the cheaper you go with a clear, it's not going to hold up as long.
Yeah, when you first get it done, it may look like this, but the longevity of it will not be there.
No, and I'm not saying either you got to go spend, $700, $800 to $1,000 on a setup either. Unless you want to. That's
all personal preference.
But in my opinion, well, we've done 2 of these. We'll get to that in a second. But I would put like a medium level, $250 to $400 or $500, something like that, is a good medium range price for a clear like that. You don't have to go. You can go cheap if you want to. That's all. That's that's just what we've done in the past. Anyway, as far as out of the 3 things here, the clear is going to be the most expensive out of these 3 to do. And either if you do it yourself or pay somebody.
Yeah, it's going to be the most expensive, most labor intensive.
Yeah, will most time.
Most time.
If you do it right.
Yeah.
I'm not telling somebody how to do it, but if you want a nice job, it's going to be the most labor
And
intensive.
it's just going to be the easiest to maintain.
Yeah, on the flip side, it will be the easiest to upkeep, to maintain. My opinion, out of these three, it will probably look the best, especially over time. I mean, you can wax this if you want to. You can dust it off if you want to. I mean, spray with the water.
Yeah, we
hose and
wash
go.
it.
I mean,
It don't really matter. You can treat this exactly like you would treat a shiny painted vehicle. You
yeah,
know,
I mean, pretty much.
and it all just depends on scenario, which option to go with.
Yeah,
You know.
and it's all your preference on which one you want to go with too. So that's the first one here, the clear, and after we do the other two, we'll kind of touch back. So I mentioned earlier, we have done 2 trucks within the last 2 years and cleared them, the whole thing. So first one we done is about like a year and a half ago. It was a 2-tone 87.
And we also have like 3 videos on it.
Yeah, go back and check them out. They're, like I said, about a year and a half ago. 2-tone blue 87 GMC truck is the first one we ever done. And what we put on it, it was not a full gloss clear like this, and it wasn't a just flat clear either. It was in the middle. We done a mix on it because they didn't want it completely shiny. They didn't want it just dull either. So it's like a semi-gloss look to it, kind of right in the middle between the, well, right in the middle of the spectrum of a clear, I guess.
Yeah.
So we put it on that, and the roof, hood, and top of the bedsides, tailgate were pretty heavily surface rusted on that truck, and we put that clear on it. It helped that truck a whole lot. It kind of gave it like a cherry look to it by the time it was done, kind of a reddish look to the rust spots on it.
Yeah, it actually looked really wild. It kind of like this right here. Kind of had that look to it, but it
Yeah.
was,
And
like I said, go back, look at the videos. You know.
Rest of the truck from pretty much top of the fenders from glass down was its full color still on it, so it looked good. I mean, helped the truck, you know, for sure, and
And the upkeep of it.
yeah, the upkeep of it too. I mean, you can go in there and wipe it off, dust it, you know, spray it off with a water hose, and
Spray your quick detailer on there. I
Yeah.
mean, whatever you want to do.
yeah. So then that was the first one we done. The second truck we done, actually done it earlier this year. It was also a blue truck, and it had some of the best patina I think I've ever seen on a, especially stack headlight square body. I'm pretty sure that truck come out of like South Dakota or something. I mean, it was all surface rust. It wasn't rotted through. If we fixed some on it, but you can see that in one of our other videos. But
It had some of the best natural patina I've ever seen.
yeah,
And it was all original paint, never been painted on or nothing. It just been weathered and worn over the years. And
it come out really good. It's got full just gloss clear on it. We didn't tone it down or nothing. We just mixed it up like you would on something like this, and so put it on there, and it looks really good.
yeah, it looks ridiculous. It's just wild looking.
Yeah, I really liked it. So done like I said, 2 trucks we've done. Both of them have held up well to this point. I mean, really, in this stuff, it's going to hold up as well as you upkeep it. I mean, if you leave it outside all the time
And neglect it, let
Yeah.
it get baked in the sun and rained on and baked in the sun, it's not going to hold up just like any other brand new painted vehicle would. I mean,
yeah, I mean,
if you neglect a shiny painted vehicle, the paint's going to come off
yeah,
either way. So
yeah. I mean, as long as you don't just neglect it, it's going to hold up or stay on there for a long time. Should anyway. So
as long as you prep it right, which
yeah, if it's
that's
prepped
the key.
right, that is the key to especially spraying this, is the prep on it. And so with that, like I said, we'll touch back on all this when we get all 3 of them done, but we're going to get into the center one now. There's a section here which is an enhancer, we'll call it.
It's an oil-based product you just wipe on with a rag.
So I got this stuff on a rag right here, and there's several brands of this stuff now that
that make a product of this kind, I guess you would say.
Yeah, I'm not gonna break it down. You can see it just wiping it on there like this. It's kind of dried out there. I have to put some more on here, but that's basically the
gist, you know. And which it will dry down and it will flatten out. For example, you know, we just put some on there, but the vehicle we done with that is the K5 right here. It was pretty bad chalky, and we just went ahead and threw a coat of that on there, which when you first put it on there, it will look like really shiny like this, but as you've seen, it will dry out to more of a matte satin finish, you know.
This certain brand here has a distinct smell to it. I don't know about the other ones. But
yeah, we've never used any of the other ones. Because if we're being honest, we're just not a huge fan of this method.
Yeah, I mean, it was worth trying it, but we have a story with this too. I'll let you explain that while I'm
So yeah,
doing this.
like I said, we put it on the K5 right there, and we put it on there like one Thursday, I think it was a Thursday evening, and then we left going to a show. It was a 2-day show. We left Friday and went to the show, all that. Got back home, we was putting the trucks up, and we walk in the shop and we just smelled like something was on fire. You know, didn't see any smoke or nothing, but something smelled crispy, to say the least, you know. And this goes on for like 2 days, and we finally find a pile of rags, and the rag in it was like
It was like 2 of these rags we used wiping it on there, and then kind of set them on top of each other, set them on this table here, and picked them up, and you could see they'd like burnt themselves together.
It's had some sort of chemical reaction. I'm not going to say it lit itself on fire, but it smoldered, and it melted the rag, caught it on fire, I guess. And you know, just a really scary situation, because we wasn't here for 2 days, and these rags were basically on fire inside of our shop here.
Yeah.
And yeah. So
And before we even used this stuff, we had heard other people told us like they would be in the back of their truck, and they said it was just on fire back there. And like, I really didn't believe them at the time, but yeah, it's happened to us too. So I physically did not see it on fire, but you take the rag apart and it's all
it was
charred up.
Yeah.
I thought I had a picture of it or something somewhere. If I find it, I'll put it in here. But
yeah, if you do go this route, I would strongly suggest do something with that rag.
yeah,
do not put it
leave
inside.
anywhere. Even in
Don't
the
throw it in a garbage
No, I
can.
would not.
Let it sit outside for about a week. I don't know. Just don't put it near anything flammable.
Yeah, which, I mean, this is flammable anyway. It tells you that, I'm pretty sure.
But
it's
it shouldn't light itself on fire. Just, you know.
in theory. But anyway,
Which I really don't know what their procedure they say to like wipe it on and wait so long and wipe the excess off or whatever, but we ain't gonna do that here. So yeah, and the pros and cons of this.
put their cleaner like on top of it. It's like prep.
Yeah, and well, they do recommend you taking basically what we did with the painted surface on this. They sell a cleaner, or multiple different people sell cleaners, you know, and they say scuff over it or whatever, and kind of just knock the top of it off, smooth it out a little bit, and then they say put that on there. It's supposed to look better or be a better final result. But as you can see, it looks on camera almost as shiny, but it will dry down. But the rust really soaks this stuff up, so I don't know if it'll need like 2 or 3 coats on it. But yeah, I mean, what else to say about this upkeep on it?
Yeah, as far as upkeep on this, I mean, they say it dries, but I don't know if it actually ever really fully cures out or not.
Yeah.
It's been on that K5, and we drove it, and it got road grime all on the bottom side of it.
Which
I'll actually just show you where
which
it's at.
is a complete pain to get off, because that thing, it never really dries, like you said.
All down here, but you can still see part of it on there. It had black road grime all down here.
Yeah.
I had to spend about an hour on each side wiping all of it off.
Yeah, below that body mold was almost black down there.
Just about. And when you touch it, it's like it's got like a rough texture to it. It's all
Yeah.
black, just road grime that come off the road.
And that stuff, it attracts so much dust. Every
yeah,
little
don't-
piece of dust will stick on it. And as far as washing it goes, I've heard people say they'll wash it and reapply it, but that's really all you can do as far as upkeep on this.
Yeah, you just clean it and reapply it. I mean, that's
Yeah.
the only thing you can do. They've got a cleaner, I think, for this stuff. I mean, but I've never tried it. But it's
And-
oil based. I don't know if you said that or not.
Yeah, I mentioned it was oil based, but personally, I'm not a huge fan of it.
But when it first come out, it was, I mean, it's probably a good thing. And I'm not gonna throw shade on.
Yeah, I'm not bashing anybody.
Who's done this or who uses this, but this is just our preference of what we've done on all this stuff. So
You know, and if you've used this and you've had zero problems and you love it, I'm happy for you. But
you have to keep using
keep using it. It
I'm
don't.
not telling you what to do. We're just
This is our personal opinion and the scenario we had with it.
yeah.
You
So
know.
and this would be the cheapest one of these to do. I don't know if you mentioned that.
I did not, but you can buy a bottle of that stuff for like, I think it's like $45, $50.
Yeah, you can get all that less than $100. Do it yourself. I mean, you can do this in a couple of hours. I mean,
Yeah.
So,
So yeah, this would be the cheapest, but upkeep wise, this would arguably be
yeah.
the hardest one to upkeep.
yeah,
Because like I said, everything will stick to it.
yeah.
Every little piece of
You're
dust.
supposed to let it dry for so long, but
We let that thing dry for like,
we did let that thing dry for several days there, and it's still done the same thing. So, I don't know. I mean, eventually, at this point, I'm going to end up buffing that thing. So,
which that leads us right into the final method.
yeah. So that brings us to the last section here, like we said, which is buffing it. So we're going to hit it with some compound and probably go back over the foam pad, and you'll pretty much get the gist of it.
Yeah, that's going to be good enough for this
Yeah,
little
so
demonstration.
this truck here, our 85 two-tone brown tan truck, I buffed this thing like
Probably a year and a half ago or better.
yeah, almost year and a half ago.
Which we do have a video completely about buffing this truck, so you can go back and watch it
back
too.
Last, not this past summer, but the year ago from that, buffed the whole thing. It was pretty chalky on here, which the tan's almost like buffing white. It's very hard to see it when you start buffing it, because then you'll get it in the light and you'll see the edges or the.
Yeah.
You can buff it; it'll look shiny in one spot. And you can tell where you missed, but it's not like buffing a black vehicle where you can see every bit of it, or even this brown. You can tell exactly where you have or haven't buffed, but it takes a little bit longer doing a lighter color like this. So when this one needed a lot on it, I had to actually do it pretty hard to even get this out like this.
Yeah, which that's another thing too. When you're buffing, especially this single stage like this, which assuming it probably is single stage if it looks like this.
This is factory paint.
This is factory
Every bit of
paint.
This truck is factory paint.
And it had so much of the paint still on it, like hardly any surface rust. That's why we decided to go with buffing it instead of clearing it.
Yeah.
And just really the lack of surface rust is what made us buff it. But when you are buffing it, especially with the wool pad right there, you're actually taking paint off. So you can see where it's bled through on the roof. It wasn't this bad when before he buffed it, but it heated it up and it took paint off.
Yeah.
You
Not
know,
much. I mean, you can put it on there and take a lot of it off, or
and I've also seen people sand it before they buff it, which I don't know, kind of looks fake to me.
Yeah.
But you know, because the buffer, you need to let the buffer do all the work. If you want paint off of it, buff it off, because that's the only natural way to.
It does look more natural, like taking it off with the buffer, but I don't know how many times we've had this thing out and it's been, people think it's cleared, but it's...
Everywhere we've had this truck, people ask us, how long's it been cleared? And we tell them, it's not cleared,
no,
it's buffed.
never been cleared.
And we've had people argue with us saying, no, this truck is cleared.
Yeah.
And tell them, say, listen, Bubba, you wasn't there, you know.
I mean, we got a video on it.
We got a video on it. I mean, and if you ever see this truck in person, a lot of people will think it's cleared, but
no,
it's
buffed.
not.
It's just, it has kind of died back a little bit. That's one negative to buffing it. Over time, it don't matter if it sets outside or not, but even if it's setting inside, the buffing will die back a little bit.
Which every now and then you will need to wax and rub on the buffed paint more than you will the cleared paint. Yeah. It can set for a little while, but this does require some maintenance.
Yeah, so it took me, I want to say about 3 to 4 days on this to buff this. So
that was the compound that took a majority of the time, because that's where you're doing all the cutting, and everything after that you're just removing swirls.
Pretty much, yeah.
But you can see how the paint, how it's faded, like right here on this bed rail, burned through just a little bit, you know, but it's...
So that was coming through a little bit by itself, and then when I hit it with a buffer, it just brought that out, the brown underneath that a little bit. Yeah. So,
and if these trucks are really faded, or if you just get a little wild with your buffer, I have seen people buff to the metal, which...
Yeah.
That's, you know, that's one thing, but...
Like this right here, that's just surface, like the starting of surface rust. I buffed over the top of it.
And if you did buff that too hard, the metal would be shiny.
Yeah, it would take it to metal. So
it's a very, you can see right here on this edge, if he would have buffed that right there real hard, if it'll focus. It's not wanting to focus. But anyway, if you buff that hard right there, it will be shiny metal.
Yeah, so you kind of, if you've never done that before, I would practice on something before you just went straight into it. But,
and you can see on this cow screen here, just so much natural patina.
Yeah. So I've buffed a couple of these trucks. This is probably the best one I've done. And as far as paying out, it's like what it would cost you if you took this somewhere. I mean, it ain't nothing now for somebody to have 40 hours in this, a week's worth of work.
Yeah, that's very, very possible.
Yeah, because, by the time you do it right, to get it, I believe this level of it, it takes time. Not as long as what it would clear in one, but it still takes a long time to do it.
But I'll tell you, it's a whole lot more manual labor than it is clearing one.
A lot more labor intensive.
You'll get a workout buffing this thing.
So with that, I'm going to buff this tailgate here and demonstrate that, or pretty much what we done. So we're just going to put some compound on here. This is Wizard's compound.
And when it comes to buffing patina, you're gonna have to use a rotary style buffer. An orbital literally will not cut this. It's just gonna...
it'll smear this around on it, but it won't.
It ain't gonna cut it like it will, like a rotary is. You're not gonna dig down deep in there.
Yeah, I would say more of a orbital buffer if you're on like newer paint and you're wanting to lightly buff it. I would use it, but if you're trying to bring something back that's set outside 30, 40 years, an orbital, it really ain't gonna do much to it. Which we may have a video later on to just explaining, showing that. So anyway, and I try not to buff rust because it'll just turn it white. You get compound in it, but sometimes like this,
you have no choice.
You're gonna have to run over it a little bit, and for just demonstrative purposes here, I'll get enough of it to show that. I say that pad should be blue, which
Yeah.
because you're actually buffing the.
Like I said, you're buffing material off of it. As long as it's a single stage and you see that, you're okay. Now, if you're buffing base clear and you see that on your pad, you've got some bigger problems.
You burnt the clear off of it.
Yeah, but that's just one little spot real quick, and you can see it is almost as shiny as the clear coat is, really, and we're just getting started on it.
And something about the buffing process, you're more than likely you're gonna have to go over everything you buff twice, at least twice.
Yeah, especially if it's this chalky. It's gonna need all the help
Like
it can
the
get.
rust right there, you can see it's kind of got some this blue fuzz where it come off the buffer, and if you're getting that technical with it, you got these little buffers you can get in there and get the edges better, like we'll have to do in here. But I'm gonna run over the rest of this thing, and we'll check back in once it's all done. Alright, so that's compounded, and it's shined up pretty good. This was at some point a black tailgate. You know, paint on it's probably at least still 40 years old, so.
Yeah, which the rest of the truck, none of the rest of the truck looks like that, so I'm gonna say they probably just put a tailgate on it at some point.
Probably so. Could have got stole off of it at some point.
Which was very common back in the day.
So, yeah, if you're buffing and you get, like we said earlier, getting the like color in this rust here, if you wipe it out with a wet rag
before the compound dries in there,
yeah, it should come out. But if you let it set overnight, you more than likely won't get it out of there. So,
yeah. You're gonna want to do that as you go, you know.
Yeah. But it shined up. It ain't as shiny as like what clearing it will do, but
it's definitely
definitely a lot better than just leaving it chalky like that.
Yeah.
So next thing, we'll put a foam pad on it, which is just machine polish. Is what we use, this 3M stuff here, and hit it with that. It takes the swirls out of it, which on this, you're not going to much see swirls and stuff like this as you will like something that's, you know, you've painted like.
Yeah.
That's nice. I mean,
there's a lot of imperfections and stuff like this, and then you really won't be able to see swirls in it.
Yeah, but we still do this anyway, just for just to be sure. But anyway, I'm gonna foam pad it, and then we'll get done with this and just compare all three of these and
go
from there. So that's foam padded there. It may have brightened it up just a little bit. You're not going to tell a huge difference between compound and a foam pad. There is a couple more steps you can do on top of this, but for what this is, you get the point of it.
Yeah.
And I didn't buff this exactly, you know, the in-depth time that I had in like that tan truck there, but I mean, in the time frame I done it, you get the point of what it would look like. And really, if this had a little bit more paint on it, you could buff it out a little better.
And it would also help if it was original paint too. This, I can't remember if we said it or not, but this tailgate looks like it has been painted before. So
yeah, I think somebody put a black tailgate on here at some point, but the paint on it's still probably 40 years old at least. I mean, it's old paint still, which there's only so much you can do with old paint. I mean, these are probably the 3 most popular methods I'd say for doing this, but they've also now people have got that wipe on clear coat, which you just put it in a microfiber and wipe it on.
Yeah, which is actually different than what we done here, wipe on oil based. It's more along the lines of an actual clear coat, which it is an actual clear coat,
Yeah,
I think.
it's like, I'm pretty sure it's just clear coat that you mix up, put on with a rag, and just wipe it on. Which we may mess with that later in another
Yeah, we may
video.
try it. And then I know some other people out there, they've done similar things to what we done before we cleared this. They'll take and wash it with like a Scotch Brite pad or steel wool, and they'll just knock the chalkiness out of it, and they'll leave it.
Yeah.
Which that also looks good, but again, it's all personal preference.
Yeah, this is, I mean, there's no right or wrong way to do this stuff.
And if you really wanted to, you don't have to do anything to it, which that's the beauty of a patina truck.
Yeah, you don't have to touch it.
You can, there's 2 different, you can either, I mean, when it comes to a patina truck, you can either rub on it a whole lot or not do anything at all to it, you know, and that's.
Yeah, I mean, there's no right or wrong way. I mean, every truck, I mean, I'd use these 3 methods on still, I mean, any given day.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and every truck's different, or car, whatever you're putting this on. You know, each one you can look at it. If it's got a lot of paint, you know, I'd probably buff it. If it's got more rust or half and half, you know, I'd probably clear it or whatever. If you want to put the preserver on it, if you don't have the time or what there, or you know, just whatever, you know, it all comes down to what you like the best. So
Yeah,
I mean,
and there's no rule book. You can do whatever you want to. So
this is all personal preference. I said I'm not knocking any one of these ways more than the other one, but every one of them has its pros and cons. But like I said, with everything else,
yeah, that's with everything else. It's just, yeah.
So clearing it'd be the most expensive on these 3, but it would last the longest and
The easiest to maintain.
easiest upkeep. The center here, the
Wipe on preserver.
just wipe on preserver, which, like I said, there's 5 or 6 different companies that do that now. I'm not getting into any of that, but we're not getting into any specific ones. They're all pretty much the same. They'll tell you how to prep it before you put it on there. You put it on, and it is the cheapest, but like we said, it's probably the hardest to clean and upkeep. You're all the time having to do something to it.
Every time you drive it, every time we drove that K5 with it on there, we'd have to re-clean it.
Yeah.
So
and then buffing. I mean, buffing's really out of these 3. If you do it really, if you want it done right to look good, it's the most labor intensive because it's a lot of hours.
it's a lot of hard work.
If you want to, I mean, you can put as many hours in one as you want to, or as little as you want to. I mean, it'll.
For the best result, you're going to spend a lot of time.
Yeah, you're going to spend several days, if not weeks, if you really get into it. I mean, but I mean, like I said, it's personal preference. I'm not knocking any of them. All of them are good in their own ways there. So, with that being said, I think we're going to wrap this one up. If you got any questions, comments,
Concerns?
concerns, drop them in the comment section down there. We'll try to answer them if we can.
And also tell us which one y'all like the best.
So,
you know,
should be our first video of 24, New Year. So we're actually going to try to take all this a little bit more serious this year. I know we didn't put much out this past year, 23. So yeah, we're going to do better.
Try to get ourselves on an actual schedule.
Yeah, we'll actually try to have a schedule this year and do at least every other week videos, if not every week. Try to anyway. And so, yeah, we got a lot of stuff planned. We're going to keep building trucks. We got some car stuff we may do. Throw that in there here and there. And, yeah, try to put as much out as we can film. So
That's right.
So that's going to wrap this one here up. And I actually think we're going to end up clearing this whole thing and just hanging it up in here somewhere.
So yeah, you might actually see that in one of the videos. It's just a little bit of filler content, you know.
It could be, yeah. I mean, because I didn't think it would look this good cleared, but it's.
Yeah, let me tell you, it looks good.
Yeah, I think we may just do the whole thing, hang it up somewhere in here. So, anyway,
We're gonna shut up now.
we're gonna get out of here and see you in the next video.